In today's video, is teaching adults different than teaching students, and what does that mean for instructional coaches? Hello, coaches! Welcome back to another 5-Minute Friday. My name is Kim, and today I'm going to talk about whether teaching adults is different than teaching students and the things that instructional coaches need to keep in mind as they're working with adults. Most of us became coaches because we were great teachers, and sometimes it can be a little bit surprising to recognize that adults learn a little bit differently. So today's video is all about the ways that teaching adults is a little bit different than teaching students, and there's some really important elements that are worth knowing as an instructional coach. I have 6 things about teaching adults that are different than working with students. You might find a bit of overlap here in terms of the ideal environment you want to create for students, but this is kind of an everyday environment for working with teachers. So it's important to remember that although lots of the parallels are here between the way we wish student learning happened, this is the way we really need adult learning to happen. So the very first thing that's important to know is that adults have a need to know why each part of this learning is important to their overall goal. Usually adults are learning by choice, and usually they have a goal in mind. So it's important for them to know how all the different pieces fit together, as opposed to being perhaps more subject-based, as you might see in school, or more prescribed based on the curriculum. This is how everything kind of fits together. The second important thing to know is that adults bring a lot of prior experience to their own professional growth and professional learning. They have much more life experience to draw from as compared to students who are really just kind of eyes wide open, learning everything as they go. So you can tap into that prior experience of adults and use it to help further their own learning. The third thing that's important to know is that teachers, adults, need to be independent and self-directed. They need to be involved in the choices that they make, involved in the planning and the evaluation and how that learning works. They already know how to learn. They're not younger children who need to learn how to learn. They know how to do that already. So the goal would be to strive for autonomy. As opposed to the teacher kind of primarily directing what's learned in the classroom, the adults can be much more self-directed. So this is really important for coaches to help teachers feel like they're moving towards their own goal on their own path with their own initiative and motivation and self-direction. Our fourth tip is readiness. Usually adult learning is focused on practice, application, and purpose. They're in charge of the direction of their learning, and they know the time is right for them to learn. That's how they form that relationship with their coach, because they're ready to take that next step. Versus younger learners, which are usually just kind of trusting the process of the teacher. Oh, you've learned multiplication, great, now it's time for you to learn division. Teachers and adults already know what they know. They're independent, self-directed, they have that prior experience, they know what the next step is for them, so they're actually ready to learn. The fifth way that teaching adults is different than teaching students is that they really need their learning to be experiential and problem-oriented rather than content-oriented. So in many cases, this is exactly how we want to teach in the classroom, but we really want to make this a very authentic experience to facilitate learning rather than having direct instruction. And we talk about this in coaching conversations all the time about asking probing questions and looking for the answer within the teacher as opposed to just telling them the solution. And the same applies for when you're designing professional development, to find and create and facilitate diverse opportunities to learn the same content as opposed to just telling the adult what it is that they should know. So the idea is, instead of being teacher directed, you're very student focused. And I know this is probably a key similarity between the way we want students to be learning and the way we want adults to be learning. And generally speaking, we need to be really mindful of that in our adult learning opportunities. We need to really emphasize the learner directed nature of this experience. The sixth and final way that teaching adults is different than teaching students is the motivation. Adults are intrinsically motivated to learn. They have a personal or professional choice and chance to grow, so they want to get better. And that's something as coaches we should remember all the time, because even sometimes when teachers are struggling or they're not necessarily ready to take that next step with you, they do always want to be better as teachers, as learners, as professionals. So they have that intrinsic motivation. Versus sometimes our students, the motivation is just to finish this course or finish this school year, or their parents are motivating them, or they want to pass a test. This is that intrinsic motivation of trying to get better at the practice and craft that is teaching that they are so passionate about. So those were 6 ways that teaching adults is different than teaching students. The generic term for this is andragogy if you want to do a little more research about that, or you can sign up for our newsletter because we've got tips coming in the newsletter as well. Those 6 ways that teaching adults are different than teaching students are: they need to know why each part of this learning is important to the overall goal. They have tons of prior experience to draw from. They are independent and self-directed. They are ready to learn. They know that now is the time that is right for them to learn this content. They need experiential or problem-oriented learning environments, and they are intrinsically motivated to learn. Hopefully those 6 tips about andragogy will help you work with your adult learners even better this year. Thank you so much for watching today. If you enjoyed any part of this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps us know what we should focus on. If you want to see more great coaching tips and strategies in under 5 minutes, subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the notifications bell to find out every time we release a new episode. If you're looking for even more coaching resources, we have tons of online learning opportunities for you. We know that coaches prefer professional development when they get to learn with a cohort of other coaches with content that is leveled just right for them. We also know that the best time of year for most educators to take professional development is right now. So that's why we're facilitating all of our premium courses from October 7th to December 1st, and registration opens in late August, so get in there. Along with 10 courses designed for educators, we also have 3 custom courses designed by coaches for coaches to go in depth into specific coaching challenges, strategies, and practice for instructional coaches. The best part is that since these are all facilitated courses, you'll be learning alongside other coaches and with one of our amazing Eduro facilitators, including me. Find out more about the courses we're offering in the link in the description box below. And of course, in the same description box, we have a practical freebie linked for you too. And please comment down below if you have questions or strategies about instructional coaching, particularly about coaching conversations. We want to help you coach better. And catch us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Eduro Learning to connect with us. See you next week for 5 Minute Friday.